like, and then I saw that race director that looked a lot like Gary come up to my tower. But yeah, so yeah, I met Romina through coaching. We both coached for a local swim organization, and then yeah, obviously as Vera said, I'm a teacher, I'm a lifeguard, I'm an instructor, and yeah, so I'll just talk a little bit about what the ocean has meant for me. I grew up in Manhattan Beach. I went to Maricosta, but I got hired by the Redondo School District, so go Seahawks. No allegiance. I'm not wearing any. I wear red. All right. Yeah, so I did junior guards. Yeah, my dad was the captain, and he's the Gary handed off the International Surf Festival president position to my dad, which better choices could have been made, Gary, but whatever. But I was more or less forced to be okay with the beach. But yeah, I did junior guards. I was told I would boogie board and surf, and that was not at all true. It's like some guys tell me to go swim outside the orange thing. I'm this tiny 9-year-old, and I was like, hell no. So yeah, I sat on the beach, but then time went on. I did junior guards through 17. I became a lifeguard first with the city of Los Angeles, which is in San Pedro, and now with the county. And lifeguarding and just the ocean in general has given me a lot. I was able to travel with it. A few things I forgot to mention. I also volunteered with the International Surf Lifesaving Association. So after I finished college, when it was like, years of transition or whatever you want to call them, I've been to Mexico, Panama, the Dominican, like all through Central America teaching. We taught a lot of hotel staff, so there's all the famous resorts where, but there's no lifeguards. And like the Dominican, Central America, and Romina could tell you a lot more about the other Americas. It is south, but like if you cross the street, you better make sure no cars come. Like you will just get run over. This is a very different position there, like disposition on life. So like drowning there was their thought was, oh, if you go out and swim and you drown, that's your fault. Like you shouldn't have done that. But I wish I was joking. But we went to the first trip. It was always during Semana Santa, which is the end of Lent. And it's a huge party, and the only lifeguard tower we could get is the big beer there is called Presidente. Where their like DJ was, they let us stand on like the corner of the stage with a speaker like blaring. And there's probably that like I'm pretty comfortable out there. That was the gnarliest lifeguarding I've ever done. There's 20,000 people easily, and there's like 3 white dudes who like one of them speaks Spanish, and yeah, I can say grab the buoy, but like that's about it. But unfortunately, I'm going on like random stories here, but whatever.
These are great.
This was also probably the most significant rescue I had made. There was a rip current. It was about 6-foot surf, and I had just gotten out from telling some kids to move out of this rip current, and then I come in and like everyone's just pointing at this guy, and he is clearly drowning. So I'm booking it, and I get out there. I'm like, oh, toma la boya, and then he starts yelling at German to me, and I'm just like, bro, like Hasselhoff. Yeah, but that he luckily brought him in, and he. I don't know if he ever got checked out or whatnot for like secondary drowning, but that was like, oh, I'm doing something important. This is cool. And then I've had a few other pretty significant rescues and whatnot, but no matter what, the ocean's always given me something. I was able to travel for pretty cheap because of that. She mentioned New Zealand. Yeah, I got to go to New Zealand for 3 months for like $3,000 about. Yeah, I recommend becoming a lifeguard and then going for the exchange because New Zealand, and I got to learn a lot of new things there. They lifeguard very differently. They are not big on swimming. They use boats for everything. So they looked at me like I was insane when I said, I'll just go swim after that guy. But it's allowed me to go to a lot of places. It's allowed me to learn a lot. And it just never would have been possible if I didn't grow up, kind of like Gary's point, right by the beach, and no matter what in my life, if things have been really hard, really fun, really great, it's always like the place I go is the beach. Like during COVID, I mean, I know for a period of time we couldn't, but I would be running on whatever this last street they let us, like allowed us to be on, and being like trying to scope the beach. But the ocean itself is, one thing Romina asked me to talk about was ocean therapy, like how, and I've actually been involved with the organization where that term was coined. Jimmy Miller Foundation is another local organization, and so what they did is I got to go to Camp Pendleton a lot and then work with at-risk youth, and I just taught them how to surf, and I didn't think it's a big deal. I'm like this 22-year-old towhead kid who's just like, yeah man, let's go send it. And one really cool thing, with the first guy I ever taught to surf at the base at Camp Pendleton, apparently they're all in the Wounded Warrior Battalion, so they, whatever the effects are that they're going through after war, which I can only imagine, but apparently this guy, Chris, had not slept in like months fully. And then I'm just like, hey man, well let's have some fun and see what happens. And then he was great. And then like next time I was there 2 weeks later, told me like that was the first night I've slept through the night without like having something. So I was just like, yeah, man, let's do it again. So it's just the effect it has not only on me, but then I've been able to pass it along to some people. So I do junior guards, and a couple of them are involved with Ocean Fever. I don't know, Riley's not here, but she was in my group, and then I saw she's like swimming Catalina, which I think you're all nuts. I would never do that, but that's just because I am terrified of the middle of the ocean. That takes a lot of stuff, but the main point was kind of the same thing that you try to do in Ocean Fever. It's like that's what I try to impart on the students in my group, and it's just that respect for the ocean and the fact that ocean is also like analogous to life, where no matter what, it keeps showing up. It's still there. Some days it's like, you know, Gary's telling me a story about in like the 80s, like the surf that was so big it flooded, and that's why there's that huge berm in Hermosa by the headquarters, and it's like, wow, that's an angry day. Or it's like really flat and calm, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty mellow day, but then everything in between. But it always is there. It always shows up. And I didn't really have that thought and like piece that together until Romina asked me to do this. I was like, yeah, let me think about what the ocean means to me. But it's cool in that regard. And then also just no matter what you're going through in life or what your condition may be, what, you know, maybe you may have, maybe you had mentioned like ADHD, or if like you have autism, or if you're just a person who's like having a stressful day. So I teach special education, and I used to do in-home ABA therapy, and there's one client who lived really close to the beach, very aggressive, would frankly beat the hell out of me, but whenever we took him to the beach, and his dad's like, he loves to surf, I was like, I do too, let's do it. Just totally different kid, and that's the therapeutic element of it, where it's like whether it's a sensory overload or something from the sand, or you just feel so mellow from being in the water. It's just been really cool. And now being a special education teacher, it's like I can't take the kids to the beach, or I teach adults, so I can't take the adults to the beach every day. I wish I could, summer school maybe, but it's just something that I try to incorporate the fact that I'm a lifeguard, and that like, hey, here's what you all live in Redondo Beach or Hermosa Beach. Go to the beach, try it out. Even if you're not a water person, just go let the water hit your feet, because there's something about just the ocean, or even like a pool. I swim every morning just because it's like I said in my bio thing, it centers me. It's like I always feel better afterward, and no matter what, you'll get something out of it. And I mean, I do prefer the ocean to a pool, but it's not that like it's, you know, one's major and one's not. Like the pool, I still swim at every morning, and I still feel similar effects to it, where it just calms you down. It gets you ready for whatever happens. I can tell you a lot of things happen throughout my day sometimes, and it's because of swimming, because of the beach, and you know, the communities and the things like this. It's something that I know is always there, and has just always helped me at least stay, I don't know, sane, I'll say. But yeah, that's my spiel.